Hey y'all, so I know it's been a little while, but I've been feeling under the weather. I'm coming out of it, so I figured I'd crank out this video that was actually a topic that just hit me yesterday, right? And I thought about doing this. That is the pandemic, and in with that, the civil unrest, whatever you want to call it, that's been the past few years, that has kind of caused shortages in just about everything, and most definitely shortage in reloading components and ammunition. Um, has the pandemic and everything else killed reloading? I guess the short answer is yes. For a lot of people, that answer is most certainly yes, and I would definitely consider myself one of those people. It's kind of a sad topic to talk about, but I haven't reloaded. I started reloading probably about 2 or 3 years before the pandemic, we'll say, and I did a lot of reloading. You know what? I mean, I didn't go crazy, but I really enjoy shooting a lot of big bore stuff for 44 mag, 44 special, 10 mil stuff like that. And as anybody will tell you, you want to shoot that stuff cheap, you got to get into reloading. So that's what I did. I did the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. And the second load I worked up was a plus P plus 44 special round, mimicking the old Elmer Keith load. Of course, I was only firing it in 44 mag guns, so the risk wasn't really that bad. It was just, probably not the most safe thing to do for a brand new reloader, but I crossed my T's and dotted my I's, and it all worked out. But anyway, so I got into reloading, and then when the pandemic hit and everything started, and the whole unrest started, and the riots started, well, all those components and stuff skyrocketed and went away. And to this day, they're still gone. Yeah, past couple months, ammunition is coming down. It's becoming a little more readily available, and honestly, for certain calibers, it's cheaper to buy the ammo pre-built than it is to buy the components. Primers in particular have been really expensive. I can remember going to Cabela's, for reloading. Reloading, I use a lot of large pistol or large Magnum pistol primers, and you could go get a box of them for under $50. Last time I saw them, they were $150. Sometimes 180, sometimes more, sometimes even over 200. Depending upon the gouging, which is something I've noticed is I was in gun shops on both sides of this country and in the middle. I've been to gun shows on both sides of this country. Haven't gotten to a middle of the country gun show yet, but working on it. And I saw the same thing every time. Either they were reasonably priced and completely sold out, or they were gouging and they had some, but unless you wanted to spend 3 and 4 times what they were originally worth, you weren't getting them. So I think for a lot of people, that's really killed the reloading hobby. I'm sure there's a bunch of old people that'll be. I've got 10,000 primers sitting in my basement in reserve, and they've not noticed it. But for the average reloader, somebody like myself who hasn't necessarily had all those years and all that money to stock up, I think, the presses have sat cold for a long time. In particular, when I moved out here to California, my press had been sitting, not really doing anything for over a year and a half. And, kind of when I moved, I had plans of setting it back up. And honestly, as I was unloading the equipment, I sat and thought to myself, wait a minute, I haven't been able to find reloading components in over a year. What's the point of setting this up, because I'm not going to load anything. Of course, I've got a couple boxes in reserve, for like a rainy day, but in my mind, I'm not going to use those components until after I start getting new ones. But it really is sad that there's continued to be a gouge on those components, and I say gouge because anybody who's like, "Oh, my shop says that their cost went up, 10 times," they're lying to you. If their cost went up 10 times, then ask why the ammunition hasn't gone up 10 times, and why in particular the ammunition is going down, because everybody gets primers from the same place, so if the primers were 10 times the cost for the shop, they'd be 10 times the cost for the ammo manufacturer. But honestly, it just is sad because, yeah, I think a really cool part of the shooting community, or the shooting hobby, if you want to call it that, is getting the reloading. Learning how to take base components and turn it into a cartridge that can be fired through your gun. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a useful trait, useful thing to learn, and definitely something I was proud to know how to do. I planned on teaching my wife how to do it. She was interested in learning, but honestly haven't gotten around to it because can't find any components. Lead and casings have been short, but not to the degree of the primers. In particular, I know some of the lead bullets. I prefer lead powder coated bullets, and I forget if it was Gallant or I forget who it was, but one of the companies that I ordered from, they had an out of stock, and they gave the option to put your email in for a back in stock notification, and I got that notification. It was funny. I set it up like a year or two ago, and just yesterday I saw that email and it came back in stock, and it's kind of what gave me the idea for the video was, wow, like reloading really has gotten to be quite expensive if you still do it, which, once you start adding up the cost, you kind of don't do it anymore, which is kind of where I'm at, is I haven't reloaded in several years. And for the foreseeable future, unfortunately, I don't think I will be. And I'm sure a lot of other people are the same way because there's no savings. And in some instances, it's actually more money to get the components, gouged from the shops that are selling them than it is to just buy the ammo from someplace if you can find somewhere that's not terribly expensive. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts. Put down below what do you think? Is reloading going to make a comeback? I mean, I'd like to hope it will. Obviously the prices can't stay the way they are forever because as certain retailers come down, the shops that are gouging and the retailers that are gouging they're going to become less favorable. I'd like to think the firearms community has a good memory and remembers the places that gouged the hell out of everybody cheaper than dirt. Um, but yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Put down below what you think. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. But put down below what you think. Is how long do you think it'll take for reloading to come back? And what do you think about the shops and everybody gouging on component costs? But put down below what you think and have a good day.